Nityanandam, Ma Shivarupa from the Bidadi Adinam Nityananda Peetham here in Bengaluru. I'm back again today to film a very interesting video for my YouTube channel. And this is about parenting and teaching our children and how, as parents, really we do everything for our children. When you've lived your life and now you have your kids and you want to give them everything and much, much more than you ever wanted, the world tells you is good for your children. So you put them in the best schools, you send them to all the right classes, and you take them, to give them experiences to different cities, etc. But this video is about who we let our children spend time with, who our children are exposed to, who our children learn from, has huge implications. And for example, let's say your child, so now the teacher in your child's school, she may be an expert in the subject that she's teaching, she may be one of the best teachers. But what we need to realize is that when children especially learn, actually when all of us learn, it is not just the subject being taught that we learn. We actually imbibe the whole person. So while this person may be really good at whatever language or whatever subject they're teaching, the child also absorbs this person's inner space. Whatever powerlessness, whatever frustration, whatever that the other person, the person that's teaching, has in their inner space, your child actually drinks it. Because children are not like adults where we receive and learn from the length space, where we actually are learning from our mind. It is actually we receive the other person completely from our depth, from our cognition, from our being. And so it's very hard for a child when you're teaching them something to just listen to your words and learn only from that and not completely imbibe the person as a being. And children especially, they live in space. They don't live in a world of words like we do. And so you will find that whoever it is that is your child's caregiver or teacher, they are going to take them in completely. Like I know, growing up, my child, when I was working, would spend time with a babysitter, right? A caretaker. And I don't mean to judge anyone, but this person, she was really fat. She was very, very sweet and caring. She was a divorcee. Now, again, I'm telling you, I don't want to judge people, but the inner space of a highly overweight divorcee, single person living in the world, doing this job to get herself by, that is the space that my 4-month-old, 5-month-old, 1-year-old imbibed at the time. Because children cannot just learn by the words you're teaching them. They don't just go by that. They actually become an extension of your inner space. And so when you look at it that way, you start to think, who are the people my children coming in contact with? In India, I know we have maids that watch the children, as helpers that watch the children as we go into work. We send them to all sorts of classes. They're taken there by people, auto drivers or car drivers. Again, this is not to make people paranoid, but it is for us to wake up and realize that every single person your child touches, he or she is imbibing that person in whole, especially when we're putting them up on the pedestal of a teacher. So when I started to realize this, now I'm an Acharya for Paramahamsa Nityananda. I take a lot of sessions and classes and have done a lot of programs, and also have attended a lot of programs with Swamiji. And I'm starting to see that learning is not as we make it out to be in the modern world, which is why I have chosen to put my children into Gurukul. Because the child imbibes, the child learns from the inner space of the person who is teaching. And also in the modern day, we go 3-4 hours they spend in school, maybe 6-7 hours, and then that person goes home, and then they come back home to us. That also is not a holistic approach, because they need to be with a person that will completely teach them what it is that they're going to learn. The Gurukul system, which is what I have chosen, with my husband and I have chosen for our children, they spend all the time here in the Gurukul, living, learning, radiating from not just Swamiji, but the lifestyle he has put together around us. So as I was saying, the child learns from your inner space. The child actually just simply becomes an extension of the person teaching them, because they don't have a lot of logic, or they don't have a lot of defense mechanisms yet that we as adults do. So when they're sitting in front of someone that someone is supposed to be teaching them, and let's say they get engrossed in what it is that person is teaching, they're simply becoming an extension of that person. They're learning not just from the words that person is teaching them, but from their being, their emotions, their inner space. Their very energetic imprint is now energizing your child. So when you start to look at this, you realize how careful we as parents need to be about how our children learn, about what it is they learn. It is not just what, it is also who it is that teaches them. So when I made the choice for my children, there was no doubt that Gurukul was the best place for them to be. They could have gone to the best schools in the US or in Singapore or here in India. But the reason I felt the Gurukul was the best place was because they are now receiving the inner space of an incarnation. All said and done, however well qualified, however experienced, people that are out there in the world living and teaching are human, and they are going through their own ups and downs. They are going through their own challenges or their own frustrations. They have their own limited cognitions. So when a child is put in front of that person, they simply become a mirror image of that cognition, that they become an exact replica of the people they hang out with, the people that teach them, or they become rebels against that. So there was no doubt for me that the best thing I could be doing for my children is putting them in the breathing space, in the energy space of an enlightened master and incarnation, because then they are breathing in the right cognition. Every time they're even breathing in, every time they listen to a satsang from Swamiji, which is the primary courseware really they go through, they are now starting to lift that. Their entire being is receiving that. See, Swamiji may tell you and me, you are that, Tattvamasi, you are omnipresent, you're, or even that, hey, you should be able to read with your eyes blindfold. And we've seen this happen again and again. The minute he tells this child that, he just initiates and says, okay, now, come on, do it. The child immediately simply starts to read. Literally, I have seen this happen, where he will say, okay, now you can do this, go read with the back of your head. And this child just starts to read with the back of her head. Or he will say, now scan the body. And the child will just start to scan people's bodies. And that's because every part of his being, his inner space, believes and knows that that is possible. If I tell someone, okay, now scan your body, you will see that to the extent that I believe, to the extent that my energy is aligned to that truth, you will be able to receive it if you are completely in that space of listening. So putting your children in the energy space, in the breathing space of someone who is way beyond our human frailties, really I think is the smartest thing I could have done as a mother. And what I was also saying is that you'll see, so Swamiji will say that and the child will immediately do it. But to us adults, he will say, okay, now come on, Here's your initiation, read with your eyes closed. It takes longer. It takes a little bit longer for us to receive, and that is because our logic comes in the way. The child is like a sponge. They simply absorb whatever it is that we put in front of them. So as parents, we have to look in and see what is it that we're putting in front of them. Who is it that we're allowing them to spend time with, to learn from? Because that makes all the difference. Who makes more difference than what or where they're going? So I would encourage all my friends, my family, everyone here, check out the Nityananda Gurukul. I'll post a link online where these children are really extensions of Avatar Paramahamsa Nityananda, and they start to live and radiate that inner space, that same outer expression. Everything just becomes one of enlightenment and one of highest possibility that we as humans carry within us. So thank you for tuning in, listening to me. If you have any questions, write to me. This is something I'm very passionate about, doing the right thing for our children. So I'd be happy to discuss any questions at all. Just reach out to me or leave a comment below and I'll respond to you. Thank you, Nityananda.